All right, we millennial paused our way into the GMST podcast. This is episode 11. Welcome. My name's Angie Mendez. I'm the host of GMST Podcast, where we do a weekly hour-long show for millennials, but not exclusively, where we talk about different topics, but always with an emphasis on vulnerability, relatability, and authenticity. So, everybody's struggling. We all know this. So I struggle alone. So each week has a different theme, but there's some recurring segments too. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future episodes. And also hit the notification bell if you're so inclined. It really, really helps. So I'm so excited about today. It's just like, I can't believe we're doing this. I can't believe we're doing this today because I feel like every week that I get together with you guys, like, my week, it gets, like, progressively worse and worse. I think last week was good, but, like, there was, like, a steady escalation of unpleasant weeks, and then, like, a good one, and then, like, a really bad one. So, yeah, it's a miracle that we're here. Episode 11. We've been doing this consistent for a while. So props to myself for, like, just being here and making it happen. Even when, like, every single week, it's always something where I'm like, like, there's no way I can get the pod up this week. And then I find a way to just, like, overcome it. So here's to hoping we overcome this week. I'm recording Saturday. Obviously, you're supposed to see this Monday morning. There's so many planes flying right now, but what can we do? This is all we can do. So, in the agenda today, I have something new to talk about that I'm probably going to continually talk about, because I don't have any sponsors of this podcast as much as I really wish that I did, and I would love to have one, and I think I'll probably have some, like, eventually if I keep at it, but, I want to talk about Throne. So, oh my gosh, we've got poquito moco flojo going on right now. Change of the seasons. It's getting colder. It's like fall now. Yeah, technically it is fall now. And it's October. Oh, I just have to say, randomly, yesterday was Friday the 13th. And it was October, Friday the 13th. And boy, was it spooky. It was really spooky. Horrifyingly spooky. So crazy. So yesterday, you know, like, I always have a routine of prepping for Saturday pod on a Friday, and I, like, did not get any prepping in on this Friday, and I spent so much of last night. I was trying to make homemade queso fresco with, like, whole milk. Just, like, the point was, like, I had all this milk that, like, if I didn't use it in a huge batch, like, it was gonna go bad. So I tried to do this, and this was, like, the first time I'm ever doing this in my life. So I don't really know what I'm doing, but I was, like, following the directions really carefully, trying to be, like, really delicate with the process, and trusting the process. And I yielded some cheese, but, like, it was kind of more ended up like, what is that stuff called? Mascarpone. So that's, like, how it kind of came out. It kind of didn't come out, like, but also I didn't have cheesecloth. So that was, like, a big obstacle for me because I was pressing it through, like, just a normal fine sieve or whatever is that thing called. So yeah, I'm supposed to be talking about Throne right now, but I just got off topic because I just remembered, you know, part of what my week consisted of. Because, like, usually I wrap up, like, what the week was. I'm, like, at a loss for, like, I can't even wrap up what was this last week. I don't even know. Yeah. So, but this last week I did. Oh, I just remembered another thing that I have to talk about after this. I hope I remember. Oh my gosh. I'm always all over the place, you guys. You guys probably worry about me when you, like, watch these episodes. You're like, wow, she cannot function. So, Throne. We're going to talk about Throne. Okay. I promise. Okay, because I don't have any sponsors, I do this podcast entirely for free. I've profited 0 cents off of it over the 2 months that I've been doing this. And I think I've found an answer to this problem, because it's very kind of hard for like a very new podcast to find sponsors. So I can use Throne instead, and Throne actually can connect me with like individual sponsors. So it's a really cool service for creators that I discovered actually using Threads. I heard just like through word of mouth. You can basically make a wish list, but it also involves crowdfunding. So you can crowdfund things, you can crowdfund projects or whatever you want. And so I'm using this for my basic needs because I haven't worked consistently since last December. So, like, just kind of conceptualize that for a moment, understand how far behind I am on a lot of things, and that there's a lot of basic things that I've been going without. I think I do a good job at putting up like a put together appearance, but you wouldn't know, like, I don't have like body wash right now. I do have a bar of soap, thank God, but excuse me, I like squeaked, I wheezed or something. Oh my gosh, my lungs are just, I'm a little wheezy, but yeah, I'm fortunate that I have things that I can use in place. But like, if I had a choice, if I had money, my choice is to buy like body wash. So that's one of the items that's on my Throne wish list. And this might be like a new or strange or foreign concept to you, like this wish list crowdfunding kind of concept. But truly know that, like, in my situation, I wouldn't be using this if I really didn't need it, if I didn't need the help. And it's not easy to ask for help. Try to put yourself in my shoes, think, you know, how much you would not want to ask for help. That's how much I don't want to ask for help, but that's how much I need help. So, oh my gosh, I'm just like sound like asthmatic, but I'm going to try and ignore my sound of my lungs. My God. So I can tell you about Throne because Throne's really cool. And I actually did get my first Throne gift, which I was honestly so surprised because it kind of felt like I was just putting myself out there, like, here's all what I need, just to kind of humiliate myself and like nothing come of it. But when I got the first gift, or when I saw it, like, because I haven't received it yet, but I'm so excited to, basically, I list the things on my wish list, and you guys, if you guys choose to, if you would like to, you can choose to donate a portion of the crowdfunding fundraising cost, or you can order an item for me. So in this case, somebody ordered me some shower caps. So they were just like $7 for like 4 of them. And the reason I wanted some shower caps, I'll show you. I use shower caps over my hair so I don't like, when I shower, then I don't have to wash it every time, so that I can shower every day, but I don't have to wash my hair every day. I have really thick hair. I only need to wash it like once a week. It's not as gross as it sounds, I promise. But what is gross is the shower cap that I've been using for the last few months, and it's like wet right now, I think, from last night, or no, from today when I took my shower. And yeah, it's just kind of gross and like raggedy and just icky. And I've just been using that because that's all I have. So somebody was so fortunate, like, no, I'm the fortunate one. Somebody was so generous to get those new ones for me. And it means so much to me in a way I can't like put into words. So, and they were anonymous. They were donated this to me anonymously. So I can't even properly thank them. So whoever you are, thank you so much, because like it changes the quality of life that I experience. And I feel like, I don't know, I deserve a good quality of life. Even, you know, though I'm like not as productive as society requires me to be, you know, and that's like an ability thing. That's like a, you know, when I get diagnosed, like, it's just gonna be the best day of my life. Just know that. So let's see, what else do we have to say about it? So because I've used that one for months, imagine how long these 4 that are brand new are gonna last me. So I'm just really grateful. It seems like maybe nothing to somebody, but for me it means a lot. So I think traditionally, like, the creators that I've seen use this service, the throne service, are like kind of big creators that maybe they would be able to afford things themselves, possibly, and like just I don't know, they know that their fans would like to buy them something. In my case, it's not really how I'm using it, and I kind of I want to normalize people using it the way that I am, normalizing like asking for help, not being afraid to, you know, let people know you're in need, like, because maybe it might feel like embarrassing on an individual level, but you don't know how helpful you are, like, societally. It's kind of like the point of the podcast. You know what I'm trying to say? Podcast. My mouth doesn't make words sometimes, and it's concerning. So, yeah. And so I wrote in my notes, I was like, this is gross, but this is real life. So thank you for your support. You can find my throne at throne.com/cricketjustforluck. So, the other things I have on there are like cleanser, toilet paper, like things that I've asked for help with, like from my family, and they just like want me to pick myself up from my bootstraps type of vibes. And I kind of think like just a little support would go a long way. Like if I just had my needs met for just a few weeks to where I could feel good again, like I'm sure like I could work on, you know, getting my own stream of income. It's kind of more like teaching somebody how to fish kind of vibes. Like it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like counterintuitive, but like just a little support really goes a long way, and people don't understand, you know what I'm saying? So you probably understand. Okay. And then I don't have a lot of like normal segments in this episode. Okay, we've already been going 11 minutes, so I kind of need to get into it. But someone you should know this week, you probably know these guys, but maybe you don't. And so if you don't, I'm making sure you do. There is a podcast that is associated with the H3 podcast, is in the H3 universe, but sorry, this is gonna bug me. I just have to fix this really quick. But so they do on Thursdays. It's a political podcast. So if you're not into politics, I understand. Or if these are not your particular politics, I understand. But this show I think is really amazing for me, and I align a lot with them. It's called Leftovers. So they, like I said, they're on at like I think 11 on Thursday, and they go live. It's Hassan Piker, who maybe you've known from like the Young Turks. He's also not associated with them anymore. And Ethan Klein from, you know, the H3 podcast. I'm trying to like open my phone. My phone does this to me every week where it does not let me in. Oh my goodness. Okay. My makeup must be too good. It won't let me in. So, this last episode of Leftovers was probably like the best one that they've ever done. And also, it was kind of like the most high stakes one that they've ever done, because they were covering the Israel-Palestine conflict. And I was kind of hesitant to like bring it up at all. I'm not going to like really make a whole lot of comments on it. I may, if there's demand for it, if people trust my opinion with it, I may do a dedicated episode to that. But I just knew that I wasn't going to do it today. Like, I'm not prepared. Like, I wouldn't go that haphazard with something like this. So, but I was really loving their episode on it, because people were so worried that they were going to not see eye to eye, or not be able to be understood by each other, I guess. Because, like, Hassan is Muslim and Ethan is Jewish, and Ethan and his wife are dual US Israeli citizens. So they both have like a very strong perspective on either side, but they helped each other really see the experience of what it is to be Israeli and the experience of what it's like to be Palestinian. So I think it was just a really moving episode. And they both like shed tears in the episode. It was just like a very emotional but just necessary coverage. So if you watch like one piece of coverage on it, I would say watch that, because Like, it just, you'll hear so many perspectives and, like, kind of, I don't know, it's such a well-rounded perspective. Like, I don't know. And it's all world peace. So, yeah. It's funny. I have in my notes, like, this past week, but, like, nothing about it because I'm, like, first of all, it was awful. And second of all, I don't know. Like, let me think of, like, I can think of one thing that I want to remember from it that was, like, pleasant and nice. So, my mom really loves this place. I won't say the name of it, but, it's, like, in our neighborhood. And they have, like, Vietnamese food and pho and stuff like that. And she really wanted to go there. And I really wanted to go to this other place that was, like, very similar, but, like, also close by, just, like, in a different part of the neighborhood. She didn't want to go there, and I kind of explained why, like, the one thing that I like from the place where she wanted to go, I knew that I haven't liked it before. Like, I don't like how they prepare it. It's like a chicken dish, and they cut the chicken before they fry it. And in this particular dish, I strongly prefer it, like, when they fry it before they cut it. I sound so crazy and picky, but this is kind of like getting into the vibe of the episode, actually, about what we're really, really talking about today. And so, like, I just have eaten in both restaurants so many times, same dish, because that's the only thing I like. That's the only thing I order. So I know it very well. I always, like, know how it's gonna come. My mom even tried the one that we tried from the place that she liked, and it was gross. She sent it back, which I hate doing that. It makes me so uncomfortable. I'd rather, like, perish. I just hated it, but she did that, and then she didn't have to pay for it. They, like, wanted to apologize, but I felt so bad. I, like, wanted to go hide in the car. And then my mom was kind enough to take me to the actual place where I wanted to eat at to begin with. She ordered me what I wanted, and I really enjoyed it. So, that's one thing that happened last week. Like, one good thing, I guess. Like, I mean, it was bittersweet, but good in the end. And, the good place, the delicious place, I'll put you on. Okay, hold on. Let me get the address for you. Let's see. Sorry about the dead air. It's just the most delicious place. Okay, so Mila Kai Noodle House. This is 961 South State Street. Yeah, Mila Kai. It's so freaking good. I ordered the lemon chicken. It was incredible. The service was amazing. It was clean. Everything was so nice. They, like, saved my hole. They have a really cool aquarium with, like, an anemone, I think is that what it's called. And it's so just, the vibes are immaculate. But just know they have, like, some kind of weird hours, so pay attention to the hours. Make sure you look the hours up before you go. Because one time we, like, accidentally stayed over, like, when they were changing from lunch to dinner. And they were so nice they didn't kick us out. Like, 'cause we were just having, like, really good conversation. So they're so awesome there. I love them. Oh my god, it's making me hungry right now. I'm always hungry, and I got feedback of, like, that I should, like, bring a snack, but, like, I'm like I was, like, raised as an ingredient only house, and, like, I'm still, like, an ingredient only house, so there's no snacks here. Yeah, you know? So, let's get into the real topic. And god, it's kind of almost criminal that, like, my stomach's growling during this episode, because it's kind of like not good optics. I did eat today, but not enough, and I'm gonna eat a bunch after this. So much. So, trigger warning, we're gonna be talking about eating disorders. If that bothers you, if you're not in the right space to receive what I'm talking about, even if you're just having, if you're having an off day, if you need some time and, like, come back to it when you're in a better headspace, I completely understand. So I'm going to give you a couple seconds to kind of click off so you don't hear anything that you don't want to hear. Give you a minute to decide, because I know it's hard for me to make decisions, especially about like being honest with myself about things that might trigger me. And I did get triggered one time today before I even was getting ready for this episode, and it kind of made me think, oh my gosh, I should probably like not even make this episode at all, just because I felt that like emotionally defeated. Like it was before I did my makeup or hair, and so like I got defeated, and then I was like, oh, I shouldn't even do it, and I was like telling myself like those stupid thoughts. So yeah, we're gonna mainly talk about ARFID. So ARFID, you know, it is an eating disorder. It's not your typical eating disorder, but so many people suffer with it. So yeah, ARFID is Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder. It has also previously been known as Selective Eating Disorder. And it's much less known than anorexia or bulimia. And it's similar to anorexia in the restriction aspect. However, there are much different triggers for, you know, ARFID episodes versus anorexia episodes. So what it's often mistaken for is pickiness. But it's much, much more debilitating than it appears. In severe cases, it can affect growth, body function. Moderate cases can involve chronic stress, involving the social aspect of eating. So before I go into like the definition and everything, this is something that I personally suffer with. So I have a lot of firsthand experience with this. However, I do experience this to a moderate degree. So my experience is not mild, but it's not severe. So it doesn't necessarily, or it hasn't in the past, affected my health. But if unchecked, it definitely could. So, and like if I get like a little emotional, I mean like this is kind of a hard topic for me because like it is so triggering, and there's so much trauma that I have like with food in relation to this disorder. So just know that, just give me some grace, because the more that I can teach you about this, the more compassion that you can have for me in my suffering through this. So yeah, because it is very debilitating to be perceived as like just picky, or like it has a connotation of like entitlement or like diva-ishness. When I'm like a little 4-year-old girl, the last thing that I am is like a diva, I think. I mean, I'm no Mariah Carey. How can a little girl be like, you know, I don't understand how a kid can be picky, you know what I mean? Because picky implies that have like a lot of different options, a lot of different tastes. We've been everywhere, we've tasted everything, and oh no, I only eat this because I've had it all. It's like, no, we're kids, we don't know. There's got to be a good reason why we have our preferences, right? Okay, so ARFID is in the DSM-5, and the definition of ARFID is an eating or feeding disturbance, so an apparent lack of interest in eating or food, avoidance based on the sensory characteristics of food, concern about aversive consequences of eating, as manifested by persistent failure to meet appropriate nutritional and or energy needs associated with one or more of the following. So these 4 that I'm going to list, you only need like one, but most people suffer with more. So number 1, significant weight loss or failure to achieve expected weight gain, or faltering growth in children. 2, significant nutritional deficiency. 3, dependence on enteral feeding or oral nutritional supplements. 4, marked interference with psychosocial functioning. So the fourth one, that's the main one that I'm dealing with. I don't know, the first 3 don't apply to me currently, as far as I'm aware. I haven't got my nutritional deficiency tested recently, so maybe I'm totally wrong about that. But in severe cases, you'll see the weight loss, the growth issues, needing to have supplemental foods or nutritional beverages. So the disturbance is not better explained by the lack of available food or by an associated culturally sanctioned practice. The disturbance is not better explained by lack of available food or by an associated... Wait, why did I write that twice? I'm going crazy. Okay. I wrote the same thing twice. How did I not notice that? And how did I not notice that? Did I not read this? What the heck? Okay, I definitely read this, but deja vu, man. Okay. The eating disturbance does not occur exclusively during the course of anorexia or bulimia, and there's no evidence of a disturbance in the way that which... There's no evidence of a disturbance in the way in which one's body weight or shape is experienced. So that's kind of a little bit to help you understand the difference between ARFID and anorexia. So maybe somebody with ARFID is intaking a certain amount of calories per day that's way too low, and the reasoning for it, it's not inherently about their body weight or shape or nothing about their self-perception, I guess, whereas anorexia is intrinsically tied to that. However, they can both exist together, and one can manifest into the other. They can kind of shift back and forth. Anything's possible in this horrible world of eating disorders. So the eating disturbance is not attributable to a concurrent medical condition or not better explained by another mental disorder. When the eating I can't speak, sorry, I'm laughing at myself. I'm not laughing at the content of this. This is not funny. Okay. When the eating disturbance occurs in the context of another condition or disorder, the severity of the eating disturbance exceeds that routinely associated with the condition or disorder and warrants clinical attention. So, what are the risk factors of, who gets ARFID primarily? It involves a range of biological, psychological, and sociocultural issues. There's very diverse perspectives, experiences, and symptoms when it comes to, the different ways that people experience ARFID. So people with autism spectrum conditions are much more likely to develop ARFID, as are those with ADHD and intellectual disabilities. So I'm not yet diagnosed, but I 99.9% suspect I have autism and ADHD. So it's no surprise. ARFID comes with the territory. These are all, sensory disorders. So this affects the way that we experience the food that we eat. So children who don't outgrow normal picky eating, or in whom picky eating is severe, appear to be more likely to develop ARFID. So some people use this pickiness term interchanged with ARFID. I really hate that term just because it's been used so derogatorily toward me. I feel like it's my ARFID slur. So don't call me that. So many children with ARFID also have a co-occurring anxiety disorder, and they are also at risk for other psychiatric disorders. So, just, not in my notes, but just it reminded me of this. Of course this, ties in with anxiety because, the idea that, you may not be able to trust your food that you're being served. That's anxiety. Like, So, let's see. Oh, I had something in my screenshots, but this is from a long time ago. These notes that I'm using now to teach you guys in this long form were actually notes that I originally made for a short form TikTok video. But I know that you guys don't have TikTok, and this is like, I'd rather you watch this anyway. So that's why we're here with these notes. So some of the health consequences of ARFID, you can have nutrient deficiencies. It slows down processes to conserve energy, but the body is very resilient. So, like, your lab test could look completely normal, even if someone's at risk of like an electrolyte imbalance or even cardiac arrest. So, ARFID can be so debilitating and can look just like nothing's happening, until it's fatal. So it's a very scary experience to live with ARFID. People with anxiety or OCD can also experience ARFID. And this is such a strong link too, because obsessions with food intake or preparation can lead to ritualistic compulsions. English is really hard, you guys, okay? Even though that's my first language, it's really freaking hard. If you are learning it as your second, third, whatever language that you're learning, you're incredible and props to you, because I can't even speak my own language. So anxiety about many factors. So for me personally, I have fears about food poisoning and like bacterial growth on food. So for me, I tend to, even though this is kind of like bad for my energy like stuff, like, what am I trying to say? Hold on, I'm trying to see who's here, because nobody better be here at the house. I'm like, tell them like, go home, you're not welcome. I'm always a busybody. You guys always see me like spying on the ring, but then it won't even open, so never mind. They'll just be able to they'll just have to sit there. So for me, I prepare my food in as small of batches as I can, to where I have as minimal of leftovers as possible, or whatever leftovers that I do have, that I'll be able to eat them like not long after. And I always, measure the temperatures of my food when I'm reheating stuff, like especially rice. There's certain foods that freak me out. I'm afraid of like botulism. I'm afraid of like a lot of that type of stuff. I'm personally really susceptible to food poisoning. So I've gotten food poisoning at so many different restaurants, and in times where like I ate the same thing as like somebody else and they didn't get sick, and I'm like getting sick. So I'm really susceptible to it. So I'm really wary of it. So I do everything I can, and this is like manifest in my ARFID. So if I go in the fridge, in the kitchen, if I'm so hungry, I'm looking through and everything is like old leftovers, I'm thinking I'm not going to be able to eat any of that. Whereas other people would just go help themselves. Everything's going to be fine. For me, I can't do it. So that would be a situation where I'm like restricting, and it has nothing to do with my body image. But then like the guilt of not eating can also lead to like other things, or like if I'm thinking, oh, I'm already restricting, then let's be like toxic and restrict, see how like these things can easily bleed into other behaviors. And like I feel like ARFID kind of is something like happening in my mind rather than like a decision that I make. It's just kind of like a set of rules that I have to navigate. So it's very hard sometimes. So let's talk about what are the symptoms of ARFID. So lack of interest in food, avoiding foods due to texture or consistency, being picky, refusing to try new foods, requiring food to be prepared a specific way, feeling afraid to eat due to fear, So I touched on the fear one a little bit before when I was telling you how I'm like afraid of being food poisoned. So there's other fears that other people experience that I personally don't have to deal with and I don't identify with, but they're like so real and just as problematic for them as the food poisoning thing is for me. So some examples of different fears that people have around eating food that could lead to avoiding food or restricting intake from food is choking on food. AB Ayad comes to mind. He is on the H3 podcast, and he's had situations where he's like choking in a restaurant and they have to like learn how to give him the Heimlich, and he has to like give himself the Heimlich because his throat is like really narrow or something. So I'm sure that affects him. Like, he's choked on food before, and I'm sure that's manifested in a fear of choking. So I don't know, that I wouldn't go as far to say is maybe he has ARFID, but it's just an example of something that comes to mind. People may feel afraid to eat due to fear of vomiting, allergy, poisoning, social aspects. I know that like I feel the social fear too because of how many times people know that I have weird eating behaviors, so they will like look and zoom in onto my plate and focus in on what am I eating. It becomes the most fascinating thing of what, you know, when we're at lunch or we're having a luncheon, we're having catering, and everybody's looking to see, am I going to take some of the food, or how much am I going to fill my plate with? Is my plate going to look anything like anybody else's plate, you know? And then am I going to leave early because I've already eaten enough and I'm not going to sit around and chat with everybody, you know? Like, it's just like so many social fears that come up and so many things that people have said to me in English and Spanish that like I'm just like, what the frick, like, why are you looking at my plate? Like, why don't I care as much about your food and what you're eating as how you care about like my food and what I'm eating? It's kind of weird, kind of giving weird. So there's certain types also of ARFID. There's Avoidant, which they avoid certain types of food because of sensory features of it. Aversive, which is fear-based food refusal. You know, they're averse to certain foods because of, you know, nausea, pain, choking, food poisoning, whatever prior traumas that they've had with food, that they're averse to that food now. Restrictive, which is little to no interest in food and extreme pickiness. I hate that word. There's adult ARFID, which, you know, if you're an adult, and you could be any one of those. There's another one that they call ARFID plus. So this is ARFID, your normal typical ARFID, choose your fighter, and then add it with body dysmorphia. So I've been lucky enough to experience that one intermittently. Today I definitely felt it. Yeah. So, but I feel like I deal with avoidant because I do find myself avoiding foods like onion, where if I bite into it, I'm gonna get nausea actually. So that's both, that's avoidant and aversive, because avoidant is like I'm avoiding what happens when I bite, and then aversive is like I'm avoiding what happens after I take that bite. And then yeah, so I don't usually experience the restrictive. However, when I do, it's because I don't have my cannabis medicine. So I did experience that this week to a very large degree. And I don't think there was any day where I didn't eat anything, but there were many days where I really needed to eat more, but I had no interest in food. I had no appetite. It was a really bad experience. So I try to make sure that I have my medicine, but when I don't, like, I can't always afford it. And when I don't, I get really bad effects. I get, insomnia. I have over-the-counter medication I can take for that, which I don't feel very good about taking, but it gets the job done. But there's nothing that I know of that I can access that's going to activate my hunger, so I do experience that sometimes. So, let's talk about my experience, like, with ARFID, and, like, how, I don't know, just, like, how I felt it and how these things affect me. I wrote down that I was a chicken nugget baby, so there's, like, a lot of those kids that, like, I don't know, people complain because they just like chicken nuggets, but it's not their fault. So think about it this way. Chicken nuggets, they're usually 999 times out of 1,000, they are consistent, they're delicious, they're tasty. When I felt full, like, I felt like I was loved and cared for, you know? That's, like, the association with food that I kind of made. So, like, when I was hungry, I kind of did not feel loved or cared for, you know what I'm saying? So, this chicken nugget baby stuff, like, I loved always chicken nuggets, and I'd always ask for chicken nuggets, and a lot of the time people would give me chicken nuggets. And so, my parents, they enabled this, and, like, I don't know, like, I feel like there could have been other stuff that I could have tried, but maybe I was, like, afraid, or I don't feel like people worked with me that much to, like, find more stuff that I could have liked, because you could kind of make anything into a chicken nugget if you just blended it up and fried it, but you have to, like, just get creative with it and stuff. But, ew, my mouth is, like, sloshing around. Hold on, let me, like, let's drink water. So, but, like, so when I was home, everything was cool for me, because, like, I could get my chicken nuggets and stuff. But then when I would go to, like, my grandma's house, or when I would, like, either grandma on either side and stuff, like, either grandparents, I would hear it from them, you know, about it, because they don't want to, like, feed me chicken nuggets and stuff. They want me to eat, like, what they're eating and stuff. They don't want to make me anything special. They don't want to buy anything special for me. They don't want to make me feel like I'm special at all, even though I'm pretty special. But, let's see. In those situations, though, like, when I was with my extended family, they would insist that I try stuff, that would, like, make me gag and stuff, and it was, like, it felt traumatic, because it was, like, in front of everybody, and everybody's, like, expecting so much, and I'm like, oh, I don't like stuff, and this is, like, everybody's looking at me, like, how come nobody else is like me? Why am I so alone in this? Why am I the only one? And I felt, like, ashamed and ridiculed, and, like, it was, like, traumatic and invalidating, because collecting all these memories and stuff of, like, just being, like, they think I'm, like, a bad kid, because, like, I won't eat I won't eat what they want me to, but, like, I'm not a bad kid. I'm just, like, I don't want that stuff, you know? And so, there was a big, deeper issue there. Like, I really feel like that should have been, like, not the first, but, like, one major big clue that, like, I was autistic, because, or at least neurodivergent generally, because, yeah, that's typically, you know, like, a sensory issue. It was worth looking into. I would think, like, if it was my kid, I think I would have looked into it, but, you know, I'm childless perspectives. So, yeah. And then, like, I kind of had to learn to cook for myself, like, really young. Like, I say, like, about 9 is when I just, like, took off with it, started using the stove, taught myself how to cook different things. Because, like, if I didn't, I think I was gonna, like, go hungry and stuff, because people were getting sick of, you know, making me something special, and, like, it became, like, looked at as, like, a special treatment, when, like, I felt like it was, like, a basic care, but I don't know, I'm just entitled, I guess. But let's see what I've got here. So as an adult, learning and realizing that, what did I write this? can't understand there was one word that's like throwing me off in my notes and it's confusing me. But anyway, relearning like what do I need to eat and like what am I willing to eat and like how can I make this work. I like got help from a dietitian for my nutrition. But it was still like a struggle socially. There was like, like work luncheons where people were telling me I eat like a little bird and stuff like that. And there was just different stuff like comes up a lot. Like I have a couple little stories, I guess, and like I don't even remember too well like some of these stories. Like I know that soup is like a big problem because soup is so inconsistent and like I don't know. I fell in love with lentil soup in Jordan. At some like restaurant I tried it and it was so good, and I just decided from then I was like, okay, I'm all about lentil soup now. This is my thing. And so I go back to the host family's house where I'm like staying with because I'm like doing a study abroad and stuff, and their grandma is there and she is making lentil soup and she offers me some. And I'm like, oh yeah, I love lentil soup. Let me have some. And then she serves me some. And then as soon as I take a bite and I like bite into it, and it's like huge chunks of onion, chunks of things, chunks of veggies. And like immediately, as soon as my teeth sink into an onion, like even the most tiniest piece, I can detect it. My stomach will immediately churn like I'm like about to be poisoned and like I need to like get everything up. So just suffice to say, it's like a very awkward experience. I have to kind of like pretend that I'm like eating some and then like sneak and throw the rest away. And imagine like if she sees me like throwing her lentil soup away, she's gonna be so offended. How am I gonna like explain my way out of that? And especially like in a foreign country, it's one thing to try to get Americans to understand what the frick that I'm going through and get them to like validate me, but like I feel like the Jordanian grandma, I feel like I'm like asking a lot like for her to understand my autism, like of all things. So yeah, I always get put in these like really awkward situations because of my ARFID. Like here's another one. My mom loves this place called Siragusa's. It's like in Taylorsville. And I'm sorry that like I gave the name out and I'm like gonna say bad things. I've heard a million good things. You will probably love it if you go, but the experience that I had was so bad with this because so we waited a really long time to get seated. It was so freaking busy. It was like chaotic and crazy. We finally like got our seat, got our order taken, finally got the food. I was so hungry. And in the first bite, I'm not kidding, the first bite, fully the size and shape of a fettuccine noodle. What do I bite into? I bite into a piece of onion. That big. Ugh. Oh my god. So I put it down. I can't eat anymore. My appetite is gone. I was just hungry like 2 seconds ago. And my appetite is gone, okay? And like, my mom doesn't know what the fuck's going on. And I tell her, this is an onion. I just bit into an onion. There's not supposed to be onion here, and I know that. No fettuccine alfredo in the world should have an onion in it. Unless you're sick in the head. And I'm not eating at your house. No, she didn't believe me. She didn't even believe that this was onion. So I gave this to her. I'm like, no, you try it. You eat it, and you tell me this is onion. She finally eats it. She tells me, yes, this is onion. And then she like, she thought she wanted to ask them if onion was part of the recipe. Like, I already know that it's not, and they know that it's not, and there's no way that it was just like some disgusting like haphazard cross contamination. So I no longer trust that place. As an ARFID food consumer, I no longer trust them. If you don't mind a random onion in your food, okay, then go support. But for me, that's not okay. I'm sorry. It's just like, that's like, no. You want to ruin my day? You like put onion in my food. So, there was one more story that I think I can share, and then I don't have anything else, except the outro. So, hold on, let me let's refresh a little bit. We've got about 10 minutes before I'd like to be done. But I don't think we even need that long of a time. So, I mentioned somewhere in the beginning, let's see, where did I even mention it? I mentioned it that, like, people with anxiety and OCD may experience ARFID. So mine is, like, very intertwined with that. The thing is, if I don't know where my next meal is gonna come from, and, like, if I don't know that there's gonna be, like, a next meal for me, I'm completely gonna, like, go into anxiety. And it's so awkward and embarrassing, and I never know when it's gonna happen next. It just comes up like fun surprise. Yeah, so it freaking sucks. And one time that, like, is very memorable to me is we were going to, like, my cousin's house for, like, a birthday or something. Like, it was like a birthday party where there was gonna be food. I think there was gonna be, like, pizza, something like that. Pizza, it's, like, risky for me because, like, it's almost, like, similar to the onion issue, that, like, a lot of the time, like, pizza toppings get, like, thrown on when they're, like, not meant to be. Like, so that's, like, how, like, I've experienced eating, like, mushrooms and olives and stuff like that, like, I would have never chosen to eat because it was just, like, in my pizza, and, like, then I'm like, ooh, like, I didn't like the taste or the texture of that, and now I feel, like, disgusted. Now I can't trust my pizza type of vibe. So pizza's risky. I can only do kind of, like, there's just, like, very limited toppings that I can do. Like, I can do certain, like, cheeses, like feta cheese. I can do pineapple. I can do pepperoni. Not much else. Really nothing else. And so she, like, I just was counting on pepperoni pizza being at this party, whatever. And there was to begin with, but we were, like, super late. And then, like, I was having apprehension because I was like, Mom, can we please go through a drive-thru? Because I just need to get something in my stomach. I know that there's not going to be any pizza for me. She says, oh, no, there is. I'm sure there is. And then when we get there and I'm starving, there's nothing that I'm willing to eat. And I knew, and I warned her, and I asked her, and I pleaded her. She said no, and then, like, was trying to, like, well, she didn't even say no. She was just, like, trying to distract me with, like, trying to assure me that there was food there. So there's a lot of trust, anxiety, like, OCD, like, problems, a lot of problems. And so then I freaking, like, I get there, I see that there's, like, no freaking food for me, and then all that I can do is, like, go and, like, break down on the bathroom floor, lock myself in their bathroom, and, like, panic for a while until I can figure out what the fuck to do. And so I think at that time, I'm pretty sure that I had some money in my bank account. So I literally had to get, like, a freaking Grubhub of some freaking Arby's to, like, feed myself because there was no food for me. And imagine the optics of that. Like, you're, like, at a family gathering and you're, like, looking like your cousin is looking so, like, entitled, like they didn't like what the food was and then they wanted to bring freaking Grubhub. Like, imagine the optics of that. They don't know that that person just, like, broke down on the bathroom floor because there's nothing that they could eat, like, peacefully without, like, freaking throwing up or being embarrassing themselves. Like, it's so frustrating. It's, like, the most frustrating thing. It's, like, on the outside it totally looks like pompous, rude, like, entitled, self-important, and on the inside it's like, I just want to eat and feel safe. Like, it's such a frustrating disorder to live with, and I need more people to, like, understand it. And so, yeah, I remember making another, like, I made a video that I put on Instagram Reels that was like talking about some of my ARFID experience, and a bunch of the people, I don't even know if it was a bunch. I remember one guy kind of being rude and invalidating in my opinion, because he was like, actually all people deal with this, like in the context of like, you know, hoping that there's something you like at a place, and being so thrilled that there is and that it's actually good. So what I have to say to this man is actually no, everybody doesn't experience this. Most people can just go anywhere, order whatever the fuck, and they're happy with it. Maybe you have ARFID. Sorry to tell you. Shitty to live with that, but maybe you have ARFID. So that's what I have to say to you, Mr. Guy. So let's see. What I want to talk about too is like triggering each other. Something that happens all the time, every day on freaking social media is people kind of triggering each other in terms of like body image, body dysmorphia, in terms of like, what am I trying to say? Like eating disorders, triggering eating disorder in others. Something that triggered me today, and maybe you knowing this can help you trigger fewer people moving forward. Like, not that the person that did this is going to even see this at all, or even knows who I am. So this person posted like a photo of just their body on Threads, and they posted from like kind of like under their boob, like so you don't see their boob, but like you see their under boob, and then like their stomach, and they're just like in really good shape. Like, I don't know if you would call it abs, I don't know. I'm not here to talk about like what their physique is. I'm not trying to like, you know, whatever. That's opposite of the point. So the point is that, you know, just me being in a fragile state of mind, seeing that triggered me. And it kind of like, and especially it triggered me knowing that I'm talking about eating disorders today in this episode. So it kind of got to me, and it also got to me because, you know, general like jealousy of like, this person posts their body and they're getting all this attention because they post their body. And like, for one thing, I'm banned from Threads for a week, wrongfully. We can't seem to figure out why that I got banned, because I'm in good standing with everything that I can check. And it's frustrating because I just fell in love with Threads and made a bunch of friends on Threads. So like, free cricket. I'm so annoyed with that situation. But yeah, so that was like just a huge trigger to see like people like body checking. So if you don't know what body checking is when basically you're, it can happen one of two ways. It can happen on your own, in a mirror, like you're just looking at your body, making sure that it's how you think it looks, or I don't really know, like kind of evaluating it, sizing it up, like, do I look good today? Do I not? Am I big? Am I small? Am I whatever, this kind of vibe. Body checking can also extend to social media in the form of like videos or photos, you know, and things that are body checking, like, you know, you can do it without the intention of making it a body check, but people who are not in a healthy mind space will see things that are not intended to be a body check and view them as a body check. So that's what happened to me today. I saw somebody who, maybe they were body checking, I don't know, but I received it that way, and it triggered me, and it like made me kind of like, it kind of froze me in a way. Like, triggering is, it's, you know, when you're kind of frozen and you are questioning yourself, you're questioning what you're gonna do. Like, I was telling myself, oh, don't do my hair and makeup, because I'm like, you know, telling myself like negative things about my body. I won't say what they are because I don't want to internalize that to you. But yeah, I was just telling myself negative stuff based on just seeing somebody else's body. So yeah. So just keep in mind that, like, I don't know, like, I try not to like post my body a whole lot. Like, I don't know, I have before, I don't know. It's always a constant struggle, because like, I feel like somewhat if I'm hiding my body that I'm like ashamed of it, but like if I'm parading it, I'm like triggering people. I don't know how to navigate this, you know? Like, tell me your thoughts, like, you know, help me navigate this weird thing. So, the thing, because like body checking, it's hard to like you can't really police it, because you can't just tell people, like, don't post a picture of your body. Like, everybody has control of their own, and, like, you know, everybody has autonomy, so you can't really control what other people do, but you can control that you don't share sizes, numbers, weights, measurements, like stuff like that. I didn't know this for like a long time, but then like it makes perfect sense. Like, if I am complaining about being a specific weight, that could be triggering for somebody, because, like, you know, if everybody carries weight completely differently, so weight's very arbitrary anyway. But yeah, it's just not, it's best practice not to talk about sizes, stuff like that. I think there was like such a huge obsession with sizes when I was in like middle school in the freaking like late 2000s. Everybody was obsessed with being like a very small size and would venerate the people who were, when it's like, when the way that I think about it now is like anybody with a very developed physique, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that what they're doing to achieve that is not necessarily like healthy. It's not necessarily like 3 square meals and, you know, like moderate exercise. Like, I think it takes so much to create the things that we see as normal. So like, just keep it in mind, and like whatever we see isn't real anyway. It's just like manipulated. I'm a little behind schedule now. We've hit an hour, but let's see. I just wanted to make sure that I talked about those of like ways not to trigger each other, like, you know, body checking as minimally as possible, you know, not sharing sizes, numbers, weights, measurements. And finally, the takeaways that I want you to go away from this video with is how to help somebody with ARFID, because I wish that people would have told the people in my life these things, how to help me. So the first thing with them is listen to them and validate their experience. You know, they're not making this shit up. They don't want to experience this. I always like made this analogy that I don't know if it's going to go over well here, but I'm going to make it anyway. I've told people that it's kind of like being gay. Wait for it. In that it's not a choice. You were just born this way. This is just your lived experience. You just have to navigate, you know, your life knowing how you are. So, and helping people with ARFID identify alternate ways to approach food if they're ready. And that is so key. Be honest with people about ingredients and preparation, because mistrust is a trigger. If I eat something that you said that there was no onions in there, come to find out there's onions in there, I'm never going to trust you in your cooking like ever again. I think it's kind of like just not a good thing to do to somebody. And don't push people before they're ready to try stuff. You know, it's more likely that they will like a food if they try it on their own free will, like from their own accord, like not because you wanted them to. So don't make judgments and don't call names, even if you think it's positive, because you don't know how that could like trigger people. Something that's like been said to me is like, I didn't know you ate that. And like people think that's positive, but it kind of like makes me feel like too like perceived. Like I feel like why are you keeping track of what I eat? Like I don't keep track of what you eat, you know? Another thing quickly that's not necessarily with ARFID, but with all eating disorders, is actually when you're telling somebody like what you think is a compliment. And what I mean by this is like, say somebody that you know lost weight and you don't really know why they lost weight, but you compliment them, then you say, oh, you look so good. What you don't know is that maybe they were harming themselves, doing disordered practices in order to lose that weight. So what you ended up doing is validated their illness, and you thought that you were doing something nice by telling them they look great, but you're just telling them what you're doing to your body is working. keep doing it. That's what they hear. So be really careful about the comments that you make about people's body, because you don't really know what people are going through, and you don't know how they're going to take it. And it is hard to navigate, because I know some of you are thinking, what? You're telling me not to tell somebody they look good? It's not as simple as that. It's much more nuanced, and I have confidence in you that you can sort through that. So, let's see. The last thing I'm going to say too, something that will hopefully help you not to judge picky eaters or people with ARFID. So safe foods for somebody are often processed and are more consistent in the taste and texture than fresh foods. People are not choosing to eat processed foods. They're choosing to eat foods that they can trust. So those are just some of the takeaways that I wanted you to have in understanding what people are dealing with when they're dealing with ARFID or other eating disorders, because it's just such a debilitating experience and it gets surrounded with so much judgment. So I'm just hoping to make people with eating disorders a little more understood. And if you related with any of this, please leave a comment down below. So that's it. That's the episode. You've just watched episode 10 of the GMST podcast, and I appreciate you so freaking much. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We upload every Monday at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. We have a TikTok and Instagram at GMST Podcast, where I upload short form clips of the podcast. My TikTok name is Cricket Just for Luck, so it matches my personal Instagram, which is Cricket Just for Luck. And I have a vlog channel on here called Whereas World. That is GUERAS World. So thank you so much for watching. Have a beautiful Monday and a productive week, and I love you so freaking much.